Hey guys, what's up? We are back here with another video today, and today we are doing our Ohio State football predictions. So make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. Help me reach my goal of 1450 by the end of June. We're about 23 away, so hit that subscribe button down below. Like this video if you enjoy it. Comment all your thoughts and opinions down below as well. Let me know what you think Ohio State's record will be. Michigan fans got 2,000 views on their video and about 100 comments. Let's see if you Ohio State fans can beat that. I know how much you dislike Michigan as a Notre Dame fan. Not a big fan of Big Blue either, but I don't think we're on great terms either. But yeah, like I said, hit that like and subscribe button down below. If you dislike the video, hit the dislike video, but make sure you let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section down below, as always. So, first game of the season, you got Akron at home. No issues here. Akron is a subpar team. I don't think that you're going to have any issues. They're not even a good MAC team, to be completely honest with you. This is a bad MAC team, is Akron. And to be honest, it doesn't get any better. The next week, when you play Western Michigan is better. They're not as bad, but they're nowhere near anywhere as good as some of even the upper level MAC teams are. I'd say Toledo, but Toledo's kind of fallen off a little bit. So you do have kind of issues there. Excuse me. But then you have a bye week. Then you play Marshall. You got another win here. I will mention a couple of pieces that Ohio State brings in. Ohio State brings in a new quarterback, and Will Howard, after the disastrous bowl game performance there, where you just had nothing going on at the quarterback position. Between the two quarterbacks that went in, I don't even remember the backup, or Lincoln Kindholtz. I'm probably butchering that, but Devin Brown didn't even last the full game, and it was just it was terrible. But you do have Julian Sayon as a backup, though I think Devin Brown is the backup quarterback. Julian Sayon is somebody who I think could fill that role as the backup quarterback. I think he is better than Devin Brown, and I think will eventually fill the backup role. But right now you have Will Howard at starting quarterback. I don't think that changes. Then you got Travion Henderson and Quinshon Junkins at the running back position. This is by far and away the best running back room in college football. Ollie Gordon, obviously, maybe a better running back at Oklahoma State, but not a better running back room. Junkins, that came in from Old Miss, an elite level athlete, has produced since his freshman year. 1,000-yard campaign there. A great player there in and of himself. At the wide receiver position, you have players excellent all over the board. Mbuka and Tate and Smith, you're not going to miss out on much there. But got a win against Marshall. Then a road game, road game of the season against Sparty. You're not going to have any issues here. Jonathan Smith, great head coach. Do like the recruits that he's brought in so far. I say recruits. The transfers that he's brought in so far from Oregon State. That's why I call them recruits, because they are kind of his recruits. So overall, a good team from Michigan State that or a bad team that is improving. But simply put, Michigan State just doesn't have the athletes whatsoever to hang with Ohio State. Then you got a home game against the Hawkeyes. If this game was at Iowa, I'd be a little bit more considering possibly an upset category here. I'm a little bit unsure of what I think of the Buckeyes offensively after a lackluster bowl game. Again, I go back to the bowl game. Obviously, it's not Will Brown and anything like that, but that bowl game it doesn't sit well with me. But Iowa, terrible offense, pretty good defense. If anybody's seen their NCAA 25 ratings, I think it's pretty fair. Then you got your first test of the season. You got a road game against Oregon, and just simply put, I just don't see Ohio State winning this game. If this game was at the Shoe, I'd probably pick the Buckeyes to win it. But with this game being in Oregon, in Eugene, Last time that these two teams played, Oregon took home the W, even though it was at the shoe. So, and you didn't have Thibodeau, and you didn't have all those. You didn't have either of the top two linebackers there for Oregon. This time around, you'll have Dylan Gabriel at the quarterback position. You'll have a much better Oregon team than even last time. And I think Oregon gets the win here. I just think that Ohio State, they're going to have some trouble when it comes to containing Oregon offensively. And don't get me wrong, Ohio State offensively is going to cause issues too, but I just like Oregon a little bit better of his team. And honestly, if this game was at Ohio State, I'm picking Ohio State. If it's at Oregon, I'm going to pick Oregon. Then you got a home game against Nebraska. I think that this is a win here for the Buckeyes. I think that Nebraska could possibly even be undefeated coming into this game. I should mention that there is a bye week before Nebraska, but just don't think it matters that much. You're going to get a win here. Nebraska is an improving team. There's no doubt about it. Raiola coming in at quarterback. Some of the pieces that Rule brings back, and then the improvement that you generally see from Rule teams in season 2 overall. That's definitely a possibility as well. Then you have a road game against Penn State. Penn State, I think, when it comes down to this game, is just not offensively there. They're just not. Drew Allard was a disappointment last year. Don't get me wrong, he played pretty well. But just simply put, Penn State defensively is great. They're just a better version of Iowa. They're a more talented offensive version, but they're just not. They're just not good enough to compete. So I gotta win for the Buckeyes, even though this game's probably going to be at night, probably going to be a whiteout game, possibly a big noon kickoff, so maybe not. But I just see this as a loss for the Nifty Lions. Then you got a home game against Purdue. Purdue could be one of the worst teams in the Big Ten record-wise. They have a legitimately awful schedule, like difficulty-wise. A really hard schedule. I think a loss there for the Boilermakers. Then you have a home game, not a home game. A neutral site game against Northwestern at Wrigley Field. It seems basically all Northwestern's games are going to be neutral site in some orientation with the lakefront property and stuff like that. It's just a weird setup right now. But I think that they'll get a win. No issue there. I think Northwestern is a struggling team, but they don't get me wrong. Like last year, they played well. They improved. They definitely had some improvements, but just not enough to compete with Ohio State. Then you got Indiana. This is another win. The Hoosiers, you're just not going to compete. I do like the Kurt Schitterelli hire, the James Madison head coach coming over. I do even like some of the recruits that he's bringing in, transfers, and other things, but I just don't see him competing at the end of the day. Then you have a Michigan team. Spend a minute here. This is why the video is only at 8 minutes right now. At the end of the day, when I'm looking at these two teams, when I'm looking at Michigan, when I'm looking at Ohio State, I have a lot more question marks when it comes to Michigan than I do Ohio State. I have a question mark at quarterback. I have a question mark at kind of head coach. I don't think Moore is a terrible hire, but I do have a question mark there. I have a question mark at the running back depth, even though I think he'll be fine. Wide receiver depth, I just have question marks. I think Michigan's defense is going to be better than Ohio State's. I do. But when I'm looking at this, I just see a better Ohio State team. I think that at the end of the day, I think that the defense is going to be good enough, and I think the offense is just going to score some more points than Michigan does and be able to get the win. And plus, it's at Columbus this time. I think that Ohio State ends the winning streak for the Wolverines here at 3 games in they get revenge over Moore, Sheldon Moore as head coach this time, as full-time head coach, not just interim. So that's going to wrap up today's video. Hit the 2 videos down below and the subscribe button up here. And as always, have a great rest of your day. See you guys.